Our next guest is Sandra Reich. She's the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and best-selling author of Once Upon a Time, How Cinderella Grew Up and Became a Happy, Empowered Woman. Sandra, welcome back to CJAD.
Oh, thanks so much. Hi, Kelly.
So we're so excited to have you on Passion, back on Passion. And, you know, I think anxiety is a huge thing. And I think overall, the world, or at least here in Quebec and Canada, I feel people are becoming more aware of it and the importance that it actually has on people's lives. Is it on the rise everywhere, though, Sandra?
It's actually amazingly on the rise, and it's thank God we're becoming more aware of it, because that's taking some of the stigma out of it, because it's just jumping and jumping. I mean, 10 years ago, it was about 10% of the population in Canada. Now it's at 25%. That's 1 in 5 people.
Wow. Now, why is that?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. Certainly our society is moving at a faster pace, and there's more expectations put on people. But it's also a question of how we're looking at life and how we're raising our kids. We've gone a lot away from the authoritarian parenting that some of us grew up with, which wasn't great. But we've gone to another extreme of really protecting our kids, and by doing that, we're not necessarily giving them the skills that they need to be able to cope with life.
Wow, that's really interesting. I find that really interesting because you see all these shows on TV now about how to handle this, that, and something else. And I have to tell you, sometimes I agree that it's too much. And I'm like, let the kid figure it out. Not everything, especially if they're dealing with bullying or any of that stuff. But some other things I'm like, you need to kind of figure things out on your own. Speaking of children, though, are we seeing this rise in anxiety in children as well as adults?
We're actually seeing it more in children and in teenagers than anywhere else. I mean, when I opened the clinic, it was an adult clinic. I would say we're at 49% kids and teenagers at this point. So it's become a fascinating thing. So what we just talked about and the electronics are big factors, because children learn a lot about how to cope with the relationships through play, for example, and through difficult experiences. So if we're protecting them all the time and we have them on their iPads as opposed to negotiating with their friends, where are they going to learn these skills?
Right.
And if they don't have the skills, then they see themselves as someone that life happens to, as opposed to them sort of running their life. And one thing about anxiety is it always has a link with a sense of a lack of control.
Okay. Actually, I wanted to ask you about technology for a second. What's your take on it? Do you love it or hate it with regards to this? Because I feel like, again, it could be a double-edged sword.
Well, I mean, I certainly use it for sure, and I think there's a place for technology. So I'm not going to, totally destroy it. But when we have parents come in with kids with anxiety in the clinic, and they're on technology all through the evening on the weekends, there's a lot of problems there. First of all, technology really sends a message to your brain to move at a very fast pace. So the moment you're off the technology, your brain is still moving at that fast pace, and kids can't really handle that. The other thing, as I said, is that how are they learning their coping skills? Coping skills come from playing with other kids. You're on technology, you are not playing with other kids. So even though I love technology and I think there's a place for it, it really has to be monitored very carefully when it comes to kids.
And, something that has come to my mind over the years, and now I'm glad I'm actually speaking to you because I want your take on this, is, I'm always so grateful that when I was a teenager, technology was not where it's at today, because I could go home. I remember I was kind of bullied in grade 9. There was like an incident I remember. And I remember that, I would go home and at least I was away from it. And then I sort of had to deal with it back in school, maybe the next day or so. But now I see kids and it's like they're not away from it because there's got Facebook, they're Instagramming, there's, Snapchat.
There's no escape, there's no downtime.
Yeah. How do you deal with that, Sandra?
Well, coping with anxiety in general is we need to have some downtime. We need to take some time for ourselves. Now, are we doing that as adults? Are we role modeling that to our kids? Or are we on our, Blackberries, our computers, or, nonstop? Because anxious parents also create anxious children. And I think you just brought up a great point. When you went through that terrible time, you had a safe haven. And I think we all need a safe place to fall. And if we don't have that, then again, we start to feel victimized by life. And if there's one thing that's important, is that the greatest gift you can give your child is not actually happiness, it's resiliency.
Right.
That's a big one. So we got to teach our children how to survive, because there will be good times and there will be bad times. And often all we care about is making sure they're happy, happy, happy. That's not enough.
Joining us on Passion here on CJD is Sandra Reich. She's the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and best-selling author of Once Upon a Time, How Cinderella Grew Up and Became a Happy, Empowered Woman. Sandra, are people seeking treatment, or, is there still significant stigma around this? I know we mentioned off the top that it's getting better, but is it still hard to maybe acknowledge to yourself and to the world you have a problem?
It's incredibly hard, but we live in a country that we call Canada the mosaic. Often a lot of us are first generation. I know I am. I have European parents, and I know that for many years they thought I really just treated really crazy people, and there certainly are people who have psychotic issues. I actually don't treat anyone like that. I treat people with everyday problems, and so does everyone on my team. So I think that a lot of the old thought about mental health issues was you're psychotic, you're schizophrenic. So therefore, when you walk into a therapist's office, you fall into that category. And that is so far from the truth, I can't even stress it. It's no different than saying you have migraine headaches. You need to be treated. Now, anxiety is one of the easiest things in the world to treat. It works like a charm. So we really have to get, shows like this really help to get the word out that if you're suffering from anxiety, that doesn't make you anything but normal. We just heard 25% of the population at least is suffering from it. It's a high-paced society. Come and get the help. You'll change your life.
Can you actually mention the event that I know you have coming up called Understanding Anxiety and Its Roots? Because I think this could actually obviously help someone.
Yeah, sure. We have something on February 11th. Every now and then we do an event for everybody as opposed to one-on-one therapy because a lot of people are not ready for that yet. So this time we have two therapists talking about anxiety. And the reason we did that is because there's many viewpoints on how to deal with anxiety. And there's a lot of value in both those viewpoints. So the most obvious one that people know about or hear about these days is something called cognitive behavioral therapy. It is the treatment of choice for anxiety. It's a very here and now treatment strategy based. However, it's also interesting to look at what's underneath the anxiety. A lot of times people who are not good with emotions will get anxiety in their life. So I asked two of my therapists to speak, a very strong cognitive behavioral therapist and a very strong psychodynamic, which really just means going deeper and going a little bit more in the past to look at both sides of anxiety. And we put a very low price on it to open it up for the public so anyone can come out. And, sometimes people say they can't afford therapy. It's priced at $29.99. So I think that makes it very manageable for people.
And if people have questions, they can call 514-777-4530 or visit your website, helpforanxietydepression.com. Now,
Yes.
I want to move along, Sandra, to the book that you wrote, Once Upon a Time, How Cinderella Grew Up and Became a Happy, Empowered Woman. Why did you write the book?
Well, that's an interesting story, is that through the years as a therapist, I found myself utterly shocked at how many women were coming in, and these were extraordinary women, top of their field, brilliant, beautiful, had everything going, and they were getting themselves into a lot of trouble in relationships in particular. And it made me wonder about the fairy tales that we grew up with, one day my prince will come and everything will be okay. And so these women were ending up in relationships, and I found over and over again giving their power away. And by losing their power, what was happening is that they were starting to experience symptoms like anxiety and depression, which showed up in my office. I remembered in university a study where it was shown that when men get married, they actually get healthier, and that when women get married, they get less healthy, which always disturbed me. That was many years ago. And so I became very curious, and there was a theme about women, that women like to caretake. We're socialized to caretake. We're mothers. We take care of others. However, in romantic relationships, caretaking is a disaster. So it causes a lot of problems. So we wanted to write a book to let people know what are the traps women fall into in their relationships that cause all sorts of problems, and also about the different biological psychobiological parts of men and women, to understand that we are not wired the same way. So in taking care of a man, for example, and thinking that's going to make him take care of you, that's not going to work.
Okay. We have much more coming up with Sandra Reich, again, from the Montreal Centre for Anxiety and Depression. If you have questions for Sandra, you can join us 514-790-0800 and by text 514-800. Please put your first name in the text. My name is Kelly Alexander, sitting in for Dr. Lori Bettito on Passion. Right now we're coming up on 10:45. It was a crazy day with regards to the snow and all that sort of situation with the roads. Hopefully things are clearing out for you as you wheel about town this evening. Let's go to the CJD Traffic Center to find out from Kira Yeager.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Lori Bettito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Good evening, Kelly Alexander in for Dr. Lori on Passion tonight. Again, Passion, a show all about love, sex, and relationships. And right now we are joined by Sandra Reich. She's the clinical director of the Montreal Centre for Anxiety and Depression and best-selling author of Once Upon a Time, How Cinderella Grew Up and Became a Happy, Empowered Woman. Sandra, we were talking before the break about caretaking and how, you know, when women get married, there's this added pressure, I would say specifically on their side. What are some of the traps that women fall into, and how does it affect relationships, which could, I suppose, obviously bring on or increase anxiety?
Well, Kelly, the number one is caretaking. There's no question about it because, again, we were socialized that way. So I often talk about the fact that the secret wish of a caretaker is to be taken care of. So the idea is you fall in love, you're going to take really good care of your partner, and your kids and everyone around you, and then they're all going to turn around and take care of you. Of course, that's not at all what happens, because when you're giving all your energy to someone else, the other person starts to feel quite deserving of that, and then you start to shrink and start to disappear. Often women feel that if they don't do this, they're going to lose the love in their life, which is also not true because from an evolutionary standpoint, men actually value what they work for. So actually women who overdo it with men don't end up getting treated so well by men, which is always very confusing for women because they're the kindest women and giving and so on and so forth. So we have to sort of talk about one of those traps being caretaking, and I'm a professional caretaker. I still have to know that when I leave the office, I cannot be a caretaker anymore. I mean, I take care of my children, of course, but I have to have an adult relationship with my partner, which means he has to carry his weight, I have to carry mine. The second trap that women fall into is victimization, because after all that happens, when you've been giving and giving and giving, you start to feel quite victimized when you're not being treated properly. Or you go into the martyr trap, which is you suffer in silence. This is the way it is. All men are like this. And none of this is true, okay? There's a dance. We're going to be talking, actually, in honor of Valentine's Day about the dance of relationships, because there is a dance at all times. So if I'm doing the tango with you and it's not going well, we can just switch to the samba. And women need to learn about that, and they do really do well once they understand the strategies. And that's, I suppose, why the book went best-selling so quickly, because there is such a confusion on this topic.
And if people want to go to that seminar, by the way, the Dance of Relationships, it's happening this Saturday, the 7th at 11 a.m. Details for the event are... you can visit the website, helpforanxietydepression.com, and also call 514-777-4530. I'm not sure if you would have this information or not, Sandra, because I feel like I'm throwing this at you, but is there a difference when it comes to same-sex relationships then? Because caretaking's still involved?
Well, you know, it's not my field of expertise, I'll be honest with you, but I would imagine it's probably either a little bit easier or more complicated, I can't say, because you would have, if we're talking about same-sex two women, we would have possibly two women caretaking, or the question would be, does one woman take on more of the caretaking role? Again, caretaking is like the more common word for something that in psychology we often call codependency. So the problem is that whether it's same-sex or opposite sex, if one person is taking on more responsibility, we have the beginning of over-functioning on one person's part and under-functioning on the other part. So the story I hear in my office, in whether it's same-sex or opposite sex, is that one person is doing everything, the other person is doing nothing, and they can't understand that. And when I first tell them, well, why would the other do something when you're doing everything, there's this moment of horror and then realization that comes across their faces. I mean, it really is a dance. So I think it does apply to all relationships. To what extent, I can't really say, but it does apply to the dance. Again, the dance. This talk, by the way, I do want to mention, although it is on our website, this one is, we're doing this one we're not doing it at the center, we're doing it at Moksha Yoga. It's part of our new 2015 mandate to really try to get people to understand the importance of a healthy mind and a healthy body. So we're doing it at Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day weekend at the Moksha West Island location. But they can still call us for information.
Fantastic, which again, their number 514-777-4530 and their website, helpforanxietydepression.com. Sandra, you mentioned the word realization a few moments ago, and I wanted to bring that back because you know, it was interesting when you sort of gave the anecdote about yourself where you're this caretaker, you know, at work. And then when you go home, you are aware, you realize that you cannot be a caretaker, obviously, apart from taking care of your children. But like for the average Joe or average Jane, how do you like realize, like you may have, to me, this could be a cycle that you've learned from your own mother.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you know, it's open knowledge. I say that at all my seminars that again, how the book and how that company came to be is I was hitting the wall left, right, and center. I mean, I call myself a recovering caretaker at best. I don't think it's really a disease you can overcome. I think it's something you have to watch. So, you know, it's really about understanding that when you're caretaking another, unless you're getting paid for it or you're taking care of your children, and we already discussed that over caretaking your children also leads to troubles. You're in dysfunctional behavior, so you have to remind yourself it's someone else's journey and not yours. So my responsibility is with myself, with my children, and if I see my partner going down a road that I, especially as a therapist, think might be a mistake, I also, like my children, those are mistakes he has to make. I can't get involved with that because another funny thing, Kelly, is caretaking is also synonymous with control.
Right.
It's a way of controlling someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's trouble. So it's an illusion of control because actually whatever you try to control controls you.
And Sandra, does this make its way into the bedroom? Because I feel like that's a whole other level that could be happening.
Oh, Kelly, what a great question. Let's put it this way. No one wants to have sex with their mother. And if you're in the role of the caretaker, you just became the mama.
Right.
And let's go the other way. No one wants to have sex with their son.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty blunt.
That's why we love you, Sandra. We actually got a text at 514-800 wanting to know again the title of your book. So I'm going to proudly announce it. Again, Sandra's the best-selling author of Once Upon a Time, How Cinderella Grew Up and Became a Happy, Empowered Woman. Sandra, where can people get the book?
They can call us, no problem. They can get it at the center at either of the events, and if that's not convenient, it is available on Amazon.com.
Okay. Now, before I let you go, I did want to ask you, to put some hope out there.
Yeah.
You know, can you give us some examples of some self-care maybe that women can think about?
Women and men, I would say,
okay.
In particular. It's funny, therapists come for training at the center, and I tell them that you're robbing your clients if you don't teach them the basics. So what are the basics? You need to eat. You need to start your day with breakfast. It sounds silly, but breakfast is break the fast. Your brain is irritable if it doesn't get food. It's a good way to get anxiety. So if you have a client or if you have a friend or a colleague and they're having anxiety and they're not eating regularly and they're not eating healthily, that's step number one. Number two, you need to sleep. It sounds silly again, but if you're not sleeping, a good way to get an anxiety or depression problem. And number three, my personal favorite and something we all tend to avoid, and it has to go into your schedule first and foremost, is you got to move your body. As the greatest stress reducer, and many studies show it works almost as effectively as an antidepressant medication. So those are the basics, and really, those are the things we all need to do in our high-paced life. We all have that, and I know I need that in my day-to-day life. I have 2 small kids. I'm running a business. If I don't do that, I'm not good.
Awesome. Sandra, thank you so much for this. Thank you for spending time with us. I know you're getting over a cold, so we appreciate it very much.
Kelly, you've been so kind.
That is, again, Sandra Reich. She's the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and best-selling author of Once Upon a Time, How Cinderella Grew Up and Became a Happy, Empowered Woman. If you want more information, you can join them by phone at 514-777-4530 or on their website, helpforanxietydepression.com. My name is Kelly Alexander, hanging in for Dr. Lori, and joined right now by the one and only Joey Elias.
Hey.
Joey, you look a little tired. Too much Super Bowl partying or what?
Little grizzled. No, this is the new look. This is.
I like it.
The hair, I haven't shaved in a while.
That's okay.
The hair hasn't been cut in a while.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like this.
It's
I like
just
this
mountain man.
rough and edgy 2015 look you've got going on.
Yeah, that, and I'm deaf in one ear.
Oh.
I popped an eardrum the other night.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so this could be a very, very entertaining show.
What is coming up on the big show?
Well, we have the grand opening of the Comedy Works. I got two official individuals sitting out there.
Amazing.
About to tell us all about the reopening, which is
Okay.
happening, I believe, this weekend. And then just regular comedy clips, maybe a giveaway or two.
A giveaway or two. I like it. Now, before I let you go or take over, I should say, are you happy the Pats won? Do you care?
No!
Me neither. Go Hawks!
No!
That was terrible. But I have to ask you, are you a Katy cat? Did you appreciate Katy Perry's performance?
I thought there was some underinflated issues. As a guy hoping to see what was happening, you know?
Right, I understand it.
It was, what? There was a moment because I was on antibiotics, right?
Oh,
So I thought, these are really kicking in because it,
it was moving sharks.
Well, they're singing sharks. It was. Do you ever see the episode where Homer gets accidentally high
No,
and the fish starts singing to him? That I thought they brought that to life. But she's got. Listen, she did what she did, and
that's
I
right.
wasn't there for the halftime show.
No, I know. I wish I could have been, though. But congratulations to Katy Perry and Missy Elliott and Lenny Kravitz. Good job.
She was awesome.
Missy Elliott. You know what? Her songs are now in the top 10 on iTunes. So go Missy Elliott. Her career has been revived by that 6-minute
I'm telling
performance.
you, they should have opened with her.
They should have.
Yeah, and then kicked it in with Lenny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. That is Joey Elias. He's coming up next with the comedy show. My name is Kelly Alexander. Tomorrow it's Trouble Tuesdays here on Passion as I continue to sit in.
You better prep for that.
I'm going to have to sit in for Dr. Lori. Frank Kermit will be with me.
Some soap. Purell.
Have a great night. My name is Kelly Alexander. Up next is the news with Kelly LeParry.
Listen to Passion with Dr. Lori Bettito, live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD and CJAD.com.